take yours. Together we can open doors.
If you see me and I see you.
For those of you still on the Zoom call, please join the link that is in the Zoom chat currently. We will be ending this Zoom call. Please follow the link to the YouTube Live to view the main program.
You feel alone and you're confused. You witness hatred and abuse.
You don't know what to do.
You see the world is full of strife. So many seek a better life.
You ask, what can I do? Take my hand, I'll take yours. Together we can open doors. If you see me and I see you, for who we are, then we'll get through. If we sing one song, we stand strong. No more injustice, no more war. We will rise up one day more. We know what to do.
We will love, not fight our way. That's our promise for today. This is what we will do.
Take my hand, I'll take yours. Together we can open doors. If you see me and I see you, for who we are, then we'll get through. If we sing one song, we stand strong. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone. We are not alone. Take my hand and I'll take yours. Together we can know we are not alone. If you see me and I see you, for who we are, then we'll get through. If we sing one song, if we sing one song, if we sing one song, we stand strong. We are not alone.
To all those joining us virtually from around the world, welcome to the 2021 Humanitarian Awards Evening, where we salute those who are indeed working to make ours a community where we stand strong as one. That includes our special guest, a globally recognized humanitarian, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm Susan Abrams, CEO of Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center, where we are on a mission, stated simply, to remember the past and transform the future. The museum is here to teach universal lessons that combat hatred, prejudice, and indifference, and to inspire audiences to be upstanders who speak out for what's right, turning powerful lessons of history into positive actions for today. And speaking of today, because of the pandemic, we are operating 2 museums, our physical on-site location, as well as a virtual museum. Our team has found innovative ways to replicate almost every aspect of our in-person experience for every stakeholder. We offer access to tours of our exhibitions. We've created weekly online public programs, and through Facebook Live, our survivors are able to continue to share their stories and engage in conversations with the public. In fact, set your calendar for 10:30 on Wednesdays for coffee and conversation with a survivor. Artifacts from the vault literally take viewers behind the scenes to share treasured items not on display in the museum and to hear the stories behind them. And to support educators and students, we created not one, but 12 virtual field trips, a menu of teacher training webinars and online student leadership initiatives. Last year, as a result of our new virtual presence, we expanded our reach and impact by more than 50%. Our reach now includes cities across the United States and around the world. We've had field trips from India and Australia, public program attendees from Canada and Croatia. Thank you to all of our donors, partners, board members, friends, and staff who have allowed us to grow our reach annually to hundreds of thousands of people from around the world. And now, to begin our formal program this evening, it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Fratkin, Chairman of our Board of Trustees.
Good evening. Tonight, we will pay tribute to extraordinary individuals who have done so much for our museum, for the community, and for the world. But as we do each year, we start by welcoming and recognizing our cherished survivors who are joining us tonight virtually for our 2021 Humanitarian Awards Dinner. It's now my pleasure to introduce our board president, Fritzi Fritzschall.
Good evening, everybody. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome all of you to our annual dinner. Yes, it is a little different this evening, but it'll be a wonderful program. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. I would also like to welcome my fellow survivors here this evening, and I hope you're all well and staying well. It is a little different for me as well. I didn't need to go out and buy a new dress. Ellie, you didn't have to help me, but hopefully next year we can all do this again, hold each other's hands, and have a wonderful evening next year and celebrate together. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Greetings to all and shalom. My name is Magda Brown and I am a Holocaust survivor.
When we closed our doors during a pandemic.
My name is Ernie Hyman.
Agnes Schwartz.
My name is George Mueller.
Our survivors.
Dalina Novitsky.
Ruth Gilbert.
Opened theirs.
And I am.
I'm a Holocaust survivor.
They opened their lives to us.
I share my story with the hope that you'll be uplifted by the courage and love that shines through human beings.
And they are needed now more than ever.
With the influx of high-tech knowledge, anti-Semitism is spreading much faster than in the past.
Teach your children not to discriminate, that we are all created equal.
You have to have faith, fantasy, drive, determination, and hope that tomorrow will be better.
Make tomorrow better. Text the word museum to 56651 and follow the prompts. We can also take your donation by phone at 847-967-4852. New or increased donations will be matched dollar for dollar by a generous donor. All donors this evening will be entered into a drawing to win 2 first-class tickets, compliments of United Airlines.
We don't learn from history. We're going to repeat the same mistakes that we made years and years ago.
Good evening. This is Governor J.B. Pritzker. It's my honor to join you all for tonight's Humanitarian Awards Dinner. I'm so proud of what the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center has accomplished over the decades, making the entreaty to the world to remember our past and transform our future. Education is the greatest tool we have in fighting bigotry and hate. That's why working with many who are present tonight and many who have passed remains one of the most deeply gratifying experiences of my life. The museum is changing the world, helping people learn what it means to fight against the purveyors of hate, to change their world for the better, to be an upstander and not a bystander. But as proud as I am to have been involved in it, this museum was conceived and constructed by the survivors. It's a testament to those who endured unbelievable tragedy, but had the courage to share their experiences. It speaks to the strength of the survivors, that they still have the compassion to believe in humanity. My admiration for them overflows. Many survivors who engaged in the creation of the museum live in my heart. Many are like family to me. But building and launching the museum was just one step in a long journey. Even today, especially today, the museum's message is being challenged by anti-Semitic rhetoric, challenged by the extreme polarization that plagues our country. And in the wake of events like the siege on our nation's capital, we must condemn the systemic attempts to dismantle our democracy and challenge the diversity of our nation. I'm saddened by the need to increase our vigilance, but I'm not deterred. The Illinois Holocaust Museum and the history that it reveals represents why we cannot stay silent. Preserving histories of the survivors helps us promote learning and understanding in our classrooms. It helps us conduct meaningful and informed conversations in our communities. And above all, it represents hope. Each day I'm inspired by the strength of the survivors and of their stories. I'm inspired by their faith, their fortitude, their empathy. In this moment, may their courage be an inspiration to us all. Their adherence to the mission, all of our adherence to this mission, means better days are ahead. Thank you.
Now that the museum has reopened, we hope that you will come visit Fritzy's interactive survivor hologram. Fritzy's is among just one of several holograms we have created, including one that features our Chairman Emeritus, Sam Harris. In the hologram theater, visitors have their questions answered by the survivors through pre-recorded 3D interviews. We have licensed this technology with our partner, USC Shoah Foundation, to institutions in Sweden, Dallas, Houston, and will be coming soon to Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Los Angeles. Fritzy, who many of you know spent almost 2 years in the Auschwitz concentration camp, worries that one day the few camps that have been maintained will decay or will be dismantled for future development, as many already have been. So in addition to our interactive holography, we have now created 2 groundbreaking virtual reality film experiences. You will be able to walk virtually with Fritzy and George Brent as they narrate their experiences in concentration camps. You will move through life-size projections of the camps using a virtual reality headset, which allows you to look all around you, up, down, side to side, and you will control what you see. This is how we are continuing to preserve survivors' stories in the most innovative and impactful ways, while expanding how we capture the historical sites of the Holocaust for generations to come. These initiatives come at a critical time when humanity's darkest hour is fading from our collective memory, and anti-Semitism and other forms of hatred, bigotry, and violence are on the rise. The need to speak out and take action is more urgent than ever. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce our first honoree this evening. Take a look as we honor PNC's Regional President, Scott Swanson.
Scott is a very engaged leader.
He is really empowering to the people he works with.
He will engage with anyone to make things better for them and for PNC and the communities that we serve.
One of the things I admire most about him is his commitment to his family and to his parents as well. Scott was very, very close with his father and credits him with influencing his commitment, especially to children.
Like any busy executive, Scott's a father, he's got a busy life, but he's always made time for Chicago, and I've been extremely impressed and motivated by that.
Scott has a goodness in him, a moral compass that's deeply embedded of trying to help others. I also think that he has a deep faith that is really rooted in social justice.
I think that leaders by nature should be always thinking about what they can contribute to the common good. And that's the kind of leadership that Scott has demonstrated time and time again.
Scott sets a bar for all of us in business to understand that we have a role to play and we should play it.
Don't tell PNC, but I think Scott moonlights as a banker to be part of the PNC Foundation and doing good.
The PNC Foundation is very committed to providing support in the communities where we do business.
Being associated with a sports team like the Chicago Bears, we deploy playgrounds throughout Chicago, and it's one of the most fun activities that we do. Our Grow Up Great program is the foundation of everything we do relative to children from 0 to 5 years of age.
Scott is the first one sitting down in these little miniature chairs next to two other kids reading through a book. He almost can't contain himself.
Scott and PNC's commitment to the Illinois Holocaust Museum is focused on the desire to educate and to never relive what happened in the past.
The museum's lessons about anti-bullying and how we treat one another and inclusion, I think that it fits very much into his moral compass about how this world is going to be better going forward.
A humanitarian is someone who has to be in touch with their own humanity. He's in touch with his own humanity. He knows that all of us need each other. So as Scott is honored in this way, it just gives us all an example to be better human beings.
Scott is so deserving of the Illinois Holocaust Museum's Humanitarian Award because of his commitment and his passion and his willingness to get involved.
Thank you for that good example that you provided us.
Congratulations, Scott.
So well deserved.
I can't think of another person who deserves this more than you.
Well, good evening. I'm truly honored to be receiving this award. You know, it's so humbling to watch that video, and I want to thank all of those who took the time out of their busy schedules to contribute in making it possible. Thank you to each and every one of you. And as I reflect on this past year, there were so many challenges that affected us all. The human toll of the COVID-19 pandemic, a struggling economy, challenged school systems, and a polarized political environment. But also a national awakening to renew the focus on social justice to end systemic racism. What a moment in history to be reminded that we need the work of the Illinois Holocaust Museum now more than ever. What has been most impactful to me about this event in the past is the in-person participation of the Holocaust survivors themselves, who I hope have been able to join us this evening and are the ones that we should all be honoring, celebrating, and thanking. I do wish we could all be together in person this evening, but I hope that all of you will be inspired by this evening's event. I would like to congratulate my friend Chris Crane and the Exelon Corporation and the Carcomi family for your well-deserved recognition. I feel so fortunate also to work for an organization like PNC that truly believes it is just as important to invest in and support our communities as it is our customers. And we get to act on that year-round, whether it's through our support of early childhood education initiatives or through local partnerships like the Illinois Holocaust Museum's Teaching Trunks program, which now reaches more than 300 schools across 20 states. But most importantly, today is about the impact the museum continues to have on thousands of visitors every year. I've toured the museum many times over the years, but nothing compares to the tour I had with my good friend, Father Michael Caruso, who I hope is watching tonight, and Fritzi Fritshaw, the heart and soul of the museum and its board president. It was unlike any experience I'd ever had before, as she transported us to a place and a time through her own experiences. It was very real and very painful. Fritzi, I want to thank you and everyone at the museum for the impact you've had on my life, the Museum and Education Center, and on the lives of countless other generations. I fully appreciate the way the museum helps us to remember the past while challenging all of us to transform the future as stated in its mission, take a stand for humanity and be an upstander. As a husband and a father of 4 children, I'm all too aware of the growing pressure our youth can experience due to bullying and cyberbullying through social media. History has shown us the dire consequences when hatred and prejudice are met with silence, and why taking a stand is so important. You know, each and every one of us needs to play a part and make a difference. That's my commitment, and it started with the influence of my parents. I'm excited that my mom, my wife, and my children have joined us tonight, but I do wish my dad could have seen me this evening. You know, he passed away early last year, but I know he would have been proud to be here tonight, sitting alongside my mom. You know, reflecting on how he lived his life, my father had no place for hatred or hateful words. In fact, I can think of no time I heard him say something hateful about another person. So I know firsthand it is possible to lead a life driven by the need for tolerance and understanding. I challenge myself and everyone here tonight to embrace that influence, lead by example. Life is not a dress rehearsal, and the time is now to be an upstander and help to make the world a better place. So on behalf of myself and all of my PNC colleagues, thank you again for this extraordinary award.
I'm pleased to introduce our second Humanitarian Awards honoree this evening, Exelon, a powerhouse in energy, a leader in philanthropy, and a longtime committed partner to the Illinois Holocaust Museum.
Today, we brought some of our top leaders from intrinsic schools to the Illinois Holocaust Museum to participate in the Student Leadership Day. It's a great opportunity for them to build their leadership skills while also building awareness around what issues we have in our communities and how we can solve those problems.
You don't expect yourself to be put in a room with people and talk about what's important in life.
I choose friends who are caring and supportive.
And I think when you sit down at a table with people that you've never met before and you're able to come up with a solution to problems, when you are able to find a connection between each other, I feel it's really, really powerful.
I believe it's really important that we teach our students, the future leaders of this country, leadership skills as early as possible. It really takes partnerships as well as effective instruction to really bring that out of students and make sure that they understand that they can make a difference, that their voice matters.
Student Leadership Day, I loved bringing my kids here. They would embrace the information, and we would disseminate it back in the classrooms, and then they would spread it through the school.
Having people who participate in democracy, who are able to identify problems and create solutions, are needed to have a strong community. And without that, and without the support of Exelon, I don't know that we'd be able to come together and collaborate to solve some of our issues in the community.
On behalf of Chicago Public Schools, I want to congratulate Exelon on receiving the Humanitarian Award. It is well deserved.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity because I think it's really changed my life. It just means so much.
Congratulations, Exelon. Thank you for your support. It makes the world of a difference for our students. Thank you.
And that's what it's all about. Exelon is proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Illinois Holocaust Museum since day one. Our employees are proud of what you're doing there, and we're proud of what our employees are doing to support you, including Judy Rader, who sits on your board. So thank you very much for this honor for Exelon and the employees, and I want to thank the other honorees here tonight.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna work it out and move mountains.
And now we turn our attention to a cornerstone of our museum, the Karkomi Holocaust Exhibition. It is a place where visitors familiar with the Holocaust and those learning about it for the first time can explore pre-war European life, the rise of Nazism, ghettoization, concentration camps, liberation, and resettlement around the world through hundreds of artifacts, documents, photographs, and a German rail car of the type used in Nazi deportation. Our museum would not be what it is today without Zev and Shifra Karkomi, who endowed the first major gift to the museum and helped make this exhibition possible. Zev and Shifra were a very special couple, deeply loved by their friends and family, and our next presentation, the Survivor Legacy Award, is given posthumously in their honor.
My father was born in Ukraine. My dad was very well aware of what was going on during the Holocaust and fought really hard to convince his family so they could escape, but they didn't believe it. Who could? His cousin Zev, they were first cousins and best friends. My dad basically took him by the scruff and made him go with them. And they enlisted illegally in the Polish army as a way out, and that was their escape.
He told me many stories about how he escaped Europe and his travels through North Africa to eventually Israel, joined the army in Israel, living in Israel, meeting Shifra, and then immigrating to the U.S.
He always regretted that he could never get his parents and brothers to come with him when he left.
It was a marvelously woven story about a great loss of his family and a great hope for the future. And I think that this museum represents not only that loss, but the hope for the future that people will forever remember what happened to him and others.
What I think the museum meant for my parents, and particularly my dad, was my dad's need to memorialize the family he lost.
I think he saw that anybody who came here would come away a different person, a changed person, because they were educated to what had occurred.
To see the Karkomi name over the exhibition entrance, I knew how much pride he took in the fact that he was able to be involved and contribute so much.
The museum opened in April 2009, and my dad passed away in September of 2009. They didn't really see it completed, and I think if they saw the museum and the energy and what it's inspired and how it's grown, they'd be thrilled.
Mr. Karkomi and Mrs. Karkomi, I'm happy that you've been honored by the Holocaust Museum.
Zev would be amused that he was getting any kind of award for doing something that was just so right.
He was never about showing off or wanting any credit for anything that he did. He was simply about preserving an eternal legacy.
Congratulations, Zev and Shifra. We are proud of you.
I miss you every day. I love you, Mom and Dad.
Continuing their passion and support for the museum are the stewards of the Karkomi legacy, their daughter, Susie Karkomi, our good friend and a member of the board of the museum, and her husband, Marvin Levitt.
To my parents, the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center was personal. As Holocaust survivors, they experienced the horrors of genocide. My father lost practically his entire family during the Holocaust, including his mother, his father, and his 3 younger brothers. What motivated my parents to get involved with the museum was not just a desire to participate in the building of a structure that would archive a dark time in history. Like I said, for my parents, it was personal. Their mission was not only to honor the family members that they lost, It was important for them that others learn about the horrors experienced by so many in the hope that educating future generations would prevent such an atrocity from happening again.
In our lives, we hope to do things that educate and elevate us, so it is possible we do not see another Holocaust. Zev and Shifra were giving people. They sought no recognition for their good deeds. Though I just said they sought no recognition for their good deeds, Susie and I know that the honor you bestow on them today would have been very, very meaningful to them. On behalf of Zev and Shifra, as well as Susie and myself, thank you very much.
Before we begin this evening's keynote conversation, please take this time to make a donation. Text the word museum to 56651. That's museum to 56651 and follow the prompts. We also have volunteers to take your pledge by phone at 847-967-4852. And now we are all delighted to have the opportunity to hear from our special guest for this evening in conversation with Museum CEO Susan Abrams. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is an activist, basketball superstar, and literally a larger-than-life legend.
Climbing to cruise at 42,000. We'll report again over Lincoln. Over and out.
Wait a minute, I know you.
He scored a whopping 38,387 points over his two-decade career.
7 foot, 1/4 inch, 15-year-old sophomore at New York's Power Memorial Academy.
The pictures tell the words.
You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Here's how great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was. The new king of scoring has ascended his throne.
But the reason we honor Kareem is more than just a pair of goggles and the skyhook. He's as comfortable sparring with Bruce Lee as he is advocating on Capitol Hill, an American who illuminates both our most basic freedoms and our highest aspirations.
Black kids now can understand this is their country. We fought for it. We helped make it great. And we deserve to have first-class rights of citizenship.
We, from time to time, ask distinguished Americans to take on an additional responsibility as a cultural ambassador.
I can't give in to pessimism. This is America, and we do things differently here, and we can get things done here. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. These kids need a future worth dreaming about.
You've meant a lot to us, and you've helped us grow. Physically, intellectually, spiritually, Kareem is one of a kind.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, welcome.
Thank you very much, Susan. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. We're so thrilled that you're with us today from LA, and we just had a chance to see a brief film, which really brought home for all of us what a Renaissance man you are. But starting out, I can't help but ask a basketball question first. So is there one thing that you miss most about the game?
I think I miss a number of my friends, some of the guys that I played with that, were good friends, and, we enjoyed life beyond the game together, Playing on a team like that is the camaraderie really is it's special. It's a special thing because you don't see too many other people, for like 9 months out of your life every year. So, you get into a special relationship with some of these guys, and I miss that.
I can certainly understand you missing the camaraderie. We feel a great camaraderie even amongst our wonderful museum team. Switching gears just a little bit and thinking about all of your incredible accomplishments off the court. I mean, we saw it too, your Skyhook Foundation, your work with young people, serving as a regular columnist, writing 14 books, creating documentaries, raising awareness for cancer, and even picking up a Presidential Medal of Freedom along the way. That's just amazing. I'm wondering if there's something there that you're particularly proud of. I know it must be hard to pick amongst all of that.
Well, I think just having been able to make a transition successfully and do something else that has nothing else to do with basketball, that's probably why I stayed in school and, tried to get my degree, because I knew that professional sports really is a very finite life, and you live a good deal past that, and you better have something planned or it's going to be a pretty lonely or difficult existence. So, I'm glad that I did that, and, I have something to show for it.
I think you're still reinventing every day. You had a chance to visit, at least virtually, our Illinois Holocaust Museum, and I'm just wondering if you had some thoughts or reflections on that.
Well, I think you guys are doing a great job. Outreach is so important, especially in times like this. I'm glad to see that you guys are doing something, to counteract that. We need to keep that spirit alive and well and healthy during times like this.
We started off with really an amazing song about standing strong together. So I think that's a lot of what it's all about. One of the things that you had a chance to see briefly was a touch of our newest exhibition at the museum, which is Mandela Struggle for Freedom. And that gives us an opportunity to delve into Mandela's important work combating apartheid in South Africa and working for racial equity. The exhibition gives us also a chance to bridge to our world today and all the work that remains both in Chicago, nationally, and of course, around the world. You've been speaking out on racial equity and so many other issues, hatred, including anti-Semitism, you've called out. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about that work, why it's so important for you, and perhaps even where we go from here.
Well, it's very important for us to understand that until all of us are free from fear, none of us are free from it, because it's just a revolving circuit that they use. Tomorrow it might be somebody that I might not like, but 3 more days from that, it's going to be me. So we have to understand that, and we have to react in ways that make it impossible for people to express that without being challenged. And when people are challenged on that and told that that's not acceptable, I think it goes a long way to making sure that other people don't take a cue from that and perpetrate that type of intolerance.
You set a great example on that. And at the museum, it's one of the things that we work to do to inspire people to be those upstanders who use their voices and choices, speak out for what's right and against what's wrong. And in fact, in our Take a Stand Center, we feature 3 upstanders from the Holocaust, but 40 others who are working in the areas of civil rights, social rights, environmental and economic rights. And each one of these upstanders really had that moment where something sparked in them and they felt, I have to create change, I have to speak out. Did you have one of those moments, or several even?
Well, I had one recently. A young man was murdered up in Wyoming because he was gay. And I just saw, it could have been a black person in 1935 in Alabama. Or, these things just can't be tolerated, and when you see an example of it like that, that's when I understood very clearly that, until all of us are free from that type of fear, none of us are going to be free from it.
Absolutely.
Because everybody has a difference of opinion, somehow, sometimes, with people, but, how do we resolve that? This is something we have to deal with on a regular basis and make sure it doesn't take root.
You've been really outstanding in so many different ways in different media, using your platform to speak out. I'm wondering if you think that generally, not just athletes, but celebrities more generally, are doing enough to use their platforms?
Especially sports figures have stepped up in a major way. We see certain segments of society complain about people in Hollywood and their, the issues that they support. But the people that have that platform should use it in a positive way. So, I think that's a good thing that I see. It's a good trend that people are trying to identify issues that they can support positively and hopefully affect positive change.
More things that people could or should be doing, both with the platform and all of us?
Well, everybody has a part, because everybody is part of some community. So, if there's something not happening in your community that needs to happen, speak out about it. Everybody has that power. It's up to the individual to choose their issue, but everybody does have that power.
Absolutely. The museum takes great pride. One of our many wonderful programs is delivering both on-site and now virtual training on implicit bias and hate crimes to police recruits and law enforcement officers through our Brill Law Enforcement Action and Democracy program. The training helps to reinforce the responsibility that officers have to balance the rights of an individual with the needs of our democracy. I know your dad was a police officer, and I'm wondering if that has impacted the lens that you use to look at the world, and most recently with all that's been going on, how you think about things.
Police officers can be a very positive force in any community, but they have to have some compassion for the people there. Misfortune and lack of opportunity makes people do desperate things. So, a police officer has to have a compassionate side to how he applies himself in his job, or, that no one is perfect.
Yeah.
You can't punish everything, but when you don't respect the law because the law doesn't respect you, it becomes a very negative, and it's a source of serious conflict in our communities. So the communication between the police and various community organizations or community organizers really can go a long way to having peace and law and order in our communities. Because poor communities, they need policing just like in the other community. And the positive relationship between the police and the people in the community is a key issue in any successful effort.
Absolutely.
To make the laws work for everybody.
I read somewhere where you wrote about how proud you were of your dad as a police officer and the success that he had. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about that?
Well, my dad was decorated by the mayor for bravery. I'm very proud of him. People in my community were proud of my dad just because when he became a police officer, it was an unusual thing. They didn't do a very effective job of recruiting Black police officers prior to when my dad became one. So everybody was proud to see my dad doing well as a police officer.
Last summer, when Deshaun Jackson, and for those of you watching who may not recall, a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, so last summer he shared anti-Semitic posts on Instagram. And following that, we sent Deshaun Jackson and the entire Eagles front office a teaching trunk filled with materials to help him understand. And around the same time, you, Kareem, wrote an op-ed titled, "Where is the Outrage Over Anti-Semitism in Sports and in Hollywood?" And you called out hateful outbursts against Jews by Ice Cube, by Deshaun Jackson and others, and even explained how the muted response, and I quote, perpetuates racism. Talk to us, if you will, about that.
Well, you can't have a situation where you're going to wink and nod and tolerate that in somebody because of their ignorance and their need to try to, puff up their own public image, by attacking people. This is something we just can't let people do that, So, fortunately, your message got through, and I think my message got through to them. And that's all. This isn't about us trying to punish anybody. We just educating these people has been very, very beneficial. So even though we had some moments of tension there, we had a positive outcome. So what you did. I hope we have a lot of those trunks because you're going to have to keep sending them out.
We do, and we'll make as many as are required. So thank you for suggesting that. And when you were talking about education, it reminded me, too, that in the late 70s, when neo-Nazis threatened to march in Skokie, Illinois, survivors in the community raised their voices to combat that. But they also realized that education is the best antidote to hatred and bigotry, and that led, in fact, to the founding of our museum.
But Hollywood got into that. I remember the first Blues Brothers movie. I don't know if you saw that.
I think I did. Yeah.
And they had the Nazi rally, and the Blues Brothers had to go and do something about that.
Yes.
It's in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's Hollywood taking a shot at the Nazis. I don't have any problem with that.
Yes, taking a shot at the bad guys. And speaking of movies, you've had some star turns in that regard as well. Can you tell us a little about that?
Oh, well, I was in one of the all-time great comedies, Airplane.
Yes.
And it's just amazing that I could be in a movie with Ethel Merman, something that I'm still amazed at.
Switching gears just a little bit, I recently read your book, Brothers in Arms, the epic story of the 761st Tank Battalion. The battalion captured about 30 different towns in France, Germany, and Austria, and even liberated some concentration camps.
They were involved in the liberation of Dachau and Mauthausen.
Yes.
Definitely, and maybe one or two others.
Tell us about your interest in writing that book.
Well, the way I had got to write that book had to do with a friend of my dad's who I'd known since I was 7 or 8 years old when my dad became a police officer. He was a police officer with my dad, Leonard Smith. Mm-hmm. And I just knew him. He's a kind of zany police officer that he and my dad would hang out sometimes and go hear some jazz after their shifts. But I went to the premiere of a film that was going to be shown on PBS that talked about liberators fighting on two fronts in World War II. And it was going to tell the story of the 761st Tank Battalion. And it had survivors from some of the camps that they liberated and some of the surviving members of the 761st Tank Battalion. I had to go see that. This was, I think, 1992 or 3. And they showed it at the Lincoln Center in New York. Wow. So a lot of people were there. Lena Horne and other entertainers came, and a lot of soldiers who had served in the unit. And I'm waiting for this film to start, and somebody's tugging on my sleeve, and it's my dad's friend, Smitty. And, I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I was in the 761st Tank Battalion." I had no idea. So I watched the film. I find out that Smitty was involved in the liberation of Dachau. Talks about some of the horrific things that they saw, It was really stunning and totally unknowns to me, you know, and I considered myself pretty knowledgeable on World War II, and I had no idea that, you know, people like Smitty existed. So it was something I had to explain to a whole lot more people, and that's why I wrote the book.
I love that, using your platform in so many different ways and reaching out with so many important stories and messages. And speaking of messages, you had a chance to see at least a video clip of our holographic theater where our visitors can hear from a survivor and actually ask questions of the survivor's hologram. Our docent closes out the session by asking, what's your message for the future? And so I'm wondering, you're so thoughtful on so many different topics. What's your message for future generations?
In order to deal with all of these issues, we can really just, we can whittle it down to just being able to do one thing. Make friends with somebody who doesn't look like you. If you can do that, we can solve all of this. It's not going to be tough either. We can get it done. Just be able to make friends with someone who doesn't look like you.
I think that's so important, and it actually resonates similarly with some of the messages shared by our survivors. So we all need to take that to heart. So closing out, I'm sure all of our viewers want to know your thoughts on who's going to make it to the NBA Finals this year.
Well, you know, there's a young man from Chicago named Davis. He plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, and so I got to root for them. I think they have a great shot, but if they make it again, we'll get to see Anthony Davis and LeBron do some serious heroics out there.
Absolutely.
So see you in June, huh?
I like it. I like it. Thank you so much. This has really been awesome to have this chance to chat with you. Thank you for inspiring us with all that you've done on the court and all that you continue to do off the court. And to all of our audience from around the world who has joined us this evening, we're so grateful for all that you do and for all of your support of the museum. We hope to see everybody next year in person, and in the meantime, hopefully many times either at our museum or virtually online. Stay safe and have a great evening. Thank you.
Great talking to you.
Great talking to you. Good night.
It's been raining, it's been storming all around our way too long, and we're at that point of breaking, so we keep on holding on. We gotta be strong for each other, we gotta be there for each other, we gotta care if we wanna be free. We gotta raise up our voices, stand up making right choices, so we can be who we wanna be.